Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Before we get into the video, I want you to go grab a pen and some paper because I'm going to give you a name and phone number that I want you to write down and remember. It's the real estate group. The realtor's name is Brian Moore, and his mobile number is 217-685-8830. Now, I give this information out with his full knowledge, and I'll tell you why at the end of the video. But I want to tell you a story, and this story goes back 25 years. When Brian and I worked at the same insurance company in this town. And I'd never sold insurance before, and I did okay at it. But there came a point where I had to leave, my choice, by the way. And I went and did this job, and I've been here ever since. Been very happy. I was able to, because I had this job and I didn't have my last boss, I was able to take Prayer Box Ministry and grow it and groom it and make it what it is today. And I've been very proud of that. Now, one of the things that we did along the way is we saved just little teeny bits amounts of money. I mean, like, we cashed in aluminum cans for money because prayer ministries don't make money, trust me. So anyway, we had done that for years and had decided it was time to go buy a little piece of rental property. And so I drove across town and I was looking at a piece of rental property and I did a windshield look at it and I was like, okay. As I backed out of the driveway, I saw there was a little house across the street that was for sale. And I caught the name of the realtor. And so I pulled in the driveway and I called the name and I said, hey, are you the same Brian Moore that used to work at blah blah insurance? He said, yes, I am. I said, well, this is Brian and I'm sitting in front of your house and I want to see this property. How soon can you be here? He said, give me an hour or two and I'll be there. I said, okay. So we looked and we talked and we wrote up the deal. We did the deal. We got it financed. He guided me through. Now remember, at this point, I've been out of the market for 20, 30 years. It's changed. It has changed a lot. So I relied on Brian a lot to guide this project through. So we got it done. As we're coming out of the closing, this was not rehearsed, by the way. This just clearly out of the blue. I said, hey, before you go, there's something I need to tell you. And he said, what's that? I said, in 1 year's time, from now, you're going to come across the deal of a lifetime. It's going to be a duplex. It's going to be in one of two areas. It's going to be something you've never seen before. And when you find it, you're supposed to call me. The deal is for me, not for you. And he said, okay. So right after that, I rented the property, and the guy that I rented to stiffed me for 13 months rent, claiming he had the COVID. Of course he did. Anyway, just before the COVID restrictions were lifted, I had called him back and said, hey, we saved a little money. I think I want to buy another little house. So we're out looking at a house, and I'm telling him about the tenant I'm finally getting evicted. And I told him, I said, you know, I'm not bad at the deal. I'm not bad at saving the money. I'm not bad at most of the parts. But what I am really terrible at is judging people. I said, I always pick the worst possible people because I have a soft spot for them. And then when it comes time to be the bad guy to collect the rent, I let him stay on because I have a soft spot. I really am not cut out for this. And he said, well, if that's your problem, he said, I can solve that for you. I said, really? He said, yeah. I'll just go find the people for you and rent it for you. You have no idea what a huge relief that was for me, knowing what my weak point is and having him volunteer to take that weak spot and turn it into a strength. I was very, very thankful. So 1 year later, after we closed on the first house, out of the blue he calls me and says, hey, I just found a deal on a duplex. You're not going to believe this. He said, it's over by you. It's this amount of money. It's a third of what it should be. I said, okay, let's go take a look. So we went and took a look. It was a beautiful place. And I mean, it was extremely underpriced by 2/3. So we wrote the deal up, got it approved, went to the banker, couldn't get the financing. So I was so depressed. And I kept praying, but Lord, why would you take me all that way and not let me get the duplex? And I just waited for an answer. And finally it occurred to me that I had been in the business before and I had the same weaknesses. And they hadn't changed. And God said, this is my way of letting you know that Brian could have taken that house and you would never have known the difference. You can trust Brian. He could have taken that house and made $100,000 to $200,000 on about one deal. And he didn't. He brought it to you. And I thought, okay. Because one of the major feelings that I had is I didn't trust anybody. I was trying to do everybody's job. I was trying to be the realtor, the banker, the landlord, the rentor, the collector. I was trying to do it all. Well, of course, nobody gets it all. So once I realized that, I called Brian back and I said, hey, let's give it another go. So he waits a week or two, gives me a call, and he said, I think I found one, let's go take a look. So we're going to take a look at this second little house, and we got all done. I said, I don't like it. And he said, why not? And I gave him my reasons. And he said, you're right about all that, but it doesn't matter. And I said, what do you mean? He said, Brian, this is rental property. This is not home property. He said, rental people are not looking for the same thing that house people are. So what do you mean? He said, let me give you an example. He said, the first house you bought, you repainted and put carpet in. I said, yep. He said, it did not change the amount of rent you got. I could have rented it with the other color walls and the same flooring. And he said, now this house, one of your objections is it's got 4 or 5 different flooring types. I said, yes. He said, that doesn't matter. Rental people are looking for location, convenience, and price. And this house has got that. I said, well, what can you rent this little house for? And he told me. I said, well, let's write it up. So we wrote it up. We got it financed. Now, I want you to take a break here and let you know, he and I never had a formal discussion about what I'm looking for in rental property. But every one he showed me, it was exactly what I was looking for. The guts had to be good, the outside presentable, the inside in good shape, so I didn't have to do much work up front. And he was going to have to rent it for me. And he did that on both houses. Now, again, at closing, I don't know what it is about closing, but we closed on the second house, I'm driving back to work, and I hear God say, okay, now go buy another one. I was like, wait, what? I said, I must have misunderstood you. I just closed. Go buy another piece. So I failed the first time because of several things. Number one was trust. Number two was I grew too fast. I didn't have enough money to back up what I had. So I prayed. And I prayed hard for discernment, because I was not going to allow Satan to come in and take a piece of property that God had provided and turn it into something bad. So I prayed for discernment. And so once I was convinced, I called Brian. I said, let's go hunting. And he said, Brian, there's nothing in the market. There's nothing. When I tell you nothing, there's nothing. And I actually took a deep breath. I said, okay, well, that's fine. This was before the holidays. He said, let's wait till after the holidays and take a look. I said, okay, fine. So, and that was good for me because it gave me some breathing room, gave me some time to adjust to the idea. I didn't feel like I was flying in half-cocked just to buy a piece of property. Now, in between this time and when I bought our third little piece of property, I was talking to my son one day, and I said, you make a lot of money. I said, what you need to stop chasing a paycheck and start building wealth. He said, yeah, I know. And he said, I've already been thinking about it, and I do want to do real estate. He said, I just haven't had the time. I said, I got the guy. So I explained to him everything Brian does, and he says, so that means you don't do that much? I said, not unless I have a problem. He said, well, that sounds like the guy for me. So he called, and again, he found the perfect property for the perfect price for my son. My son had me go over and go through it. This house I did like. Of course, he got to spend more on it because he makes more, but that's not the... So it was doing good cash flow, blah, blah, blah. And long story short, he bought the house from Brian. When he got all done, I asked him what he thought of Brian. He said he's very knowledgeable. He knows the market. He knows exactly what I wanted, and I'm very happy about the decision we made. Now, this brings us to today. About, a couple of months ago, every so often, people in sales, they will send you a note or something and say, hey, will you fill this survey out for me, or will you do this for me so that I can use your testimonial as a piece? And in my mind I thought, heck yeah, well, it was on a computer. I don't do computers, and I felt really bad about it, especially since we are now looking for my third house. So I just didn't do anything, and I forgot about it. We concentrated on the deal. We finally found a deal, and we got accepted within the hour. And I expected it to be a long, drawn-out thing, but it was closed. It was done in an hour, not closed, but accepted in an hour. So we went through all the gyrations, and we should close on this house tomorrow morning. In the meantime, the back of my mind was still irritated about not being able to help my friend. So as we went over, we did our final walkthrough on the house we're closing on tomorrow the other day. I said, hey, I never did get to do that thing for you. I said, would you mind if I did a video? And his eyes on him, he said, you do a video? I said, absolutely. It's the least I can do. And he said, sure. I said, we'll use your name and phone number and company that you work for and all that. He said, yeah, that's fine. So this video is for my friend, my advisor, my realtor, Brian Moore. Thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for helping me and my son. Thank you for helping a couple of friends that I sent your way. And thank you for all that you're going to do in the future for P.B.M. money. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I want to say publicly, I feel free to use any or all of this video that you care to. It's not much, but whatever it is you'd like to use, feel free to do so. You have my permission. Again, thank you to my friend, my advisor, my realtor, Brian Moore. And I'm going to repeat it one more time. He's with the real estate group. So if you're in Central Illinois and you're looking for some property, call Brian Moore. He's with the real estate group. And the phone number is 217-685-8830. Well, that's all I wanted to talk about. You guys have a great day, a great week, and happy investing and real estate purchasing.